Buddy, this is too chill this music, David. It is Wednesday noon. I'm in South Florida by the bright yellow shirt. It's sunny outside, and David is wearing his Mickey Mouse ears in a purple Montreal environment. But to be honest with you, it's not about the weather. It's about weathering a storm. And the storm, brings life to a desert because it rains. And right now, it's raining all over the Cheney family. And now the investigations that once stopped on the Halliburton, Dick Cheney, are now going to plague Liz Cheney, who just got eviscerated by 70%, right? 70% voted, fuck you, Liz Cheney. By the way, she's a very well-established attorney whose net worth is up 600% since she took office, right? David and I have talked about this, but our main focus today is, David, how do you feel about how the Wyomingians voted Liz Cheney out?
So look, here's a question, and I'm sorry, I'm just dealing with a major technical difficulty, so I hope you can hear me.
I hear you.
All right, but here's the thing. Liz Cheney. Let's just backtrack for just a second about Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney is what we call that that wolf in sheep's clothing, right? Where she comes across as being a hardcore Republican. She is going to fight for the state of Wyoming, and then she throws her team under the bus. Now, if you've ever played sports or if you've ever worked in a company and somebody says, I'm a team player and I'm on your team, and then throws everybody under the bus, that's not a member of your team. Now, there are people out there who will say, oh, wait a second, Republicans don't want internal criticism? I'm so sorry. That's not what we're talking about. It's about towing the line in a way that you're not destroying the message. And Liz Cheney did that. She did it. She was interviewed on CBS, Sunday morning, where she went out and blamed the Republican Party, blamed Donald Trump. She went on a blame game and said it's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault, it's their fault. And she kept going back to the January 6th. And the crazy thing is, she even so much as said, I prefer working with the Democrats than the Republicans. So Liz, the state of Wyoming told you, go work with the Democrats because we don't want you as our Republican representative. You know why? Because you do not listen. You're not adhering to the message that we want to send to the rest of America. You're not respecting what we have said. We put you there to represent the state of Wyoming, not your own personal interests. And as you said, her personal interests went up sixfold. Her personal interest went up and became the vice chair on the January 6th committee. Her personal interest was now to go out and have the chutzpah to say, I'm thinking of running for the White House in 2024. So now here's the thing about Liz Cheney that is vile. First of all, she compared herself to Abraham Lincoln. Wow. She went and she couldn't win this on her own, so she went to get her daddy to try to help her to get elected. The interesting thing is that who really loves Liz Cheney, Stuart? The left.
Liz Cheney? No, Liz Cheney loves
Liz Cheney, but the liberal media loves her, the left loves her, the Democrats love her because the Democrats wanted a Republican who could go throw them under the bus. Who's the Democrat who's been crapping all over the Democrats, Stuart? It's the same thing. There's a guy, his name escapes me, who literally voted against this Build Back Better, America bill, and he got eviscerated within his own party. And they said, if you don't toe the line, you're out.
Oh, Virginia.
Yeah. So now Liz Cheney got the out because she wasn't towing the line. It's not about, I have to agree with you or else. The Republican Party is a conservative party that represents something. She doesn't represent that. She believes that the Republican Party should be more of a centrist party. And Jamie, thank you very much. Wyoming didn't throw out, Republicans did. And Jamie, I'm so glad you're on here because I'm going to tell you something, Jamie. And I'm going to come right at it. Wyoming Republicans represents the majority of Wyoming. And if you don't realize that Wyoming being a conservative state, it's the message. You want to know what something? If she was so good, she would have been still representing
Can I
Wyoming.
just throw another fact in here? Okay, just so you know, the same way Cheney denied voting 90+% with Trump, by the way, in his office term, 90+% with Trump, Al Gore denied knowing Bill Clinton. So, as far as the proven fact that whether you take a Democrat to run for office, deny his association to his former running mate, Bill Clinton, or corrupt Hillary Clinton, Jamie. Yes, corrupt Hillary Clinton. Rules, by the way, David, which we're going to get into, are for both parties. So if you're a Republican and you cry bloody murder, shame on you. If you're a Democrat and cry blue murder, shame on you. The bottom line is both parties have extreme nutcases. Fortunately, the Democrats seem to have all the nuts this time round. Because to be honest with you, if you want to placate to China, Russia, Jamie, your little life in Canada is over. Because who the fuck is Canada in the whole equation?
Stuart. It's one opinion. And I'm going to respect Jamie, and I'm going to respect anybody else who comes in and says that. But let's just go back to the real situation.
What are you respecting?
No, you got to respect an opinion. Don't have to agree with it, but you have to respect the opinion. The problem I have right now with where folks on the left believe she should run, because we need to centralize the Republican Party. We need to put them at the center, because people don't want conservative politics. People don't want, this is what you hear from the liberal media. And what Wyoming Republicans are saying is, no, that's not what we want. We're not moving to the center. Now, the sad part is in politics, one has to balance the other. So if one side pulls hard to the left, one's going to pull harder to the right. And it's harder to bring them back to the center. Liz Cheney didn't want the center. Let's be realistic. She wants to go to the left. And that's not even close to what Wyoming Republicans want. It's not what the Republican Party want. It's not what Republican voters want. In a grand scheme of things, guys, let's see what, approximately, and again, don't quote me on numbers, a third of America is either Democrat or Republican. That's 2/3 of your population. You got about a third of the population, and again, the numbers go up and down, whatever, but about a third of the population is the swing vote, right? And what you're seeing today, and what you're in many states, which the liberal media will not show, okay? And I've watched CNN and I've read the articles. They are doing their utmost to make sure that the right, that conservatives, that Republicans don't win. They're doing that. And that's why they loved Liz Cheney, because Liz Cheney is going to implode, the whole Republican Party would implode if Liz Cheney was its leader. It's not saying that Trump is the right, and I'm like, please, let's not confuse that I'm saying Trump's the right decision. I am against Trump. If you ask me who should be the leader, who should be running, my vote's for Nikki Haley, not for Liz Cheney and not for Donald Trump, where people think, oh, you're Republican, you love Trump. No.
What, are you abandoning DeSantis on me?
I'm not abandoning DeSantis on you. I think that DeSantis, in Haley DeSantis ticket would be the best for the Republican Party.
That is sexy.
But I would not want.
I can't wait for the Democrats that we know to fucking cringe over this one, because who are they going to put forward? The baffling buffoon Biden, who doesn't know his name, or his vice president, who gives a good laugh, because we all laugh about her. She's a very well-educated ex-Montrealer who was persecuted, just so you know, Jamie, by the Jewish community in Montreal.
All right, Stuart, leave Jamie alone. You have a fixation. You got to let it go. All right, Jamie, we're going to get in therapy. But the thing is that if you look at but let's do it with Wyoming Republicans, okay? Let's go with what Jamie said. He's right. It is Wyoming, not the state, but the Republicans of Wyoming did. They sent a very clear message that Cheney's politics is not acceptable. The Republican Party did not support Liz Cheney because of that. Just because Donald Trump put his name behind somebody else doesn't make her bad, doesn't make her a Trumper. It was the opposite. It was about getting rid of the person, the so-called cancer, who's going to try to ruin the Republican Party.
But so you know what I find cancerous? You know what I find cancerous, David? This woman clearly not from Wyoming, whose husband, she doesn't want to take his name. His name is Perry, right? Philip Perry, who's a big law firm at Latham and Watkins, right? She doesn't want the front page to be, where does the money come from? The real corruption in politics that these Democrats and both Republicans is the wealth. How do you go into office and make $40 million?
But it's irrelevant, Stuart, because they're all doing it.
Why don't you rant about that, Jamie?
Stuart, you once again, this is the fixation I'm talking about. You're on the wrong track here. We're on the track of the Wyoming, Republicans. We're not on, look, Liz Cheney made money. Fine. All right, Liz Cheney made her money. Fine. They're all making their money. They're all whores and bastards that way. Let's just leave it at that. There's an election coming up in less than 100 days. And you know what? The left, the liberal media, the Democrats, they thought that with Trump getting caught last week with his hands in his pants with the FBI documents and whatever, that this is it. We have now won the November election. Folks, this is irrelevant. And I'm going to tell you something. Trump may be guilty. Trump may not be guilty. I'm not going to get into that. What I am going to get in is that the people who are voting today for Republican leadership do not want Liz Cheney leadership. They do not want that brand of politics. And to say, oh, yes, because Republicans are racists and Republicans just want, extremism and whatever, that is the propaganda machine at work. What do we want today, people? It's simple. Jobs, lowering inflation, lowering gas costs, real estate to be affordable. This is what the everyday people want. And that's what the Republican parties are saying. We don't want any more money thrown into stupid things, right? Which is the so-called program that, that Biden wanted to pass through. And Liz Cheney supported it. And that's what Republican voters said. Enough.
Yep. Listen,
Enough.
David, listen. Fact of the matter is, her father's tied to Nixon. Her father's tied to the Halliburton stock scandal, which is also one of the large oil and gas companies. Her father's tied to Dresser, another technology oil and gas company. Her father got shot in the ass by George Bush. Her father is doing what any father does, tries to stand up their children. But you want to know something? Dick, sit down, shut up, you're done. You're
Stuart,
the former VP.
Isn't it comical how up until recently, Dick Cheney was public enemy number one. They were really happy about the movie that they put out about him, Veep, that he was portrayed as this son of a bitch. But the moment he talked against Donald Trump, the moment he threw his support behind Liz Cheney, suddenly the left extolled him as, look, you see, he's worthwhile listening to. This is the thing that is the hypocrisy and the sickness that is in politics today. Stuart, I know you want to wrap this up, but you know what? The Liz Cheney type of politics that she wants to bring to the Republican Party will be shut down. And I really do believe that and again, this is my belief, this is my personal, vision, is I would love to see a ticket in 2024 of a Nikki Haley and a Ron DeSantis ticket, where Nikki would be the presidential candidate, a visible minority, a woman, a person of stand-up, of valor, of honesty. And I can rant all about what she has done. It's very, very simply, she's a spectacular. Go look at her creds. She's spectacular. And I know Ron DeSantis, I know everybody in Florida wants him to be president, and I get all that, and that's fine.
Well, it's not just everyone in Florida. It's everyone that moved from New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Florida, and everywhere else. They repressed them, and they all moved to our backyard. Let me tell you something. It's very simple. Everyone that's come here doesn't want to leave here so fast. Why? Why, David?
Stuart, listen, there are many reasons, but I want to tell you, I gave you my personal opinion. I know you would love to see the Ron DeSantis presidential ticket, and that's fine.
I like Nikki Haley.
But what I would not want to see, and with this we'll wrap it up. I do not want to see ever Liz Cheney on a Republican ticket.
We agree. Hey, Jamie Gordon, maybe you agree too. Who wants Liz Cheney? All right. We wrapped it up. It's 15 minutes in, quarter hour's done. We'll see you on Friday. Maybe we got
What?
something
Yeah.
more interesting, and we don't have to lace a friend that we all grew up with. And, again, with all due respect, there is no disrespect meant to Jamie. We love you, Jamie. We appreciate the comments. We may not agree, but we still think you're a great guy. So, again, if you listen to the very, very end, Jamie, you're a good man. Charlie Brown. David, kill it.